Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On November 28th, I raised a question related to the activities of the Communications Security Establishment, related to that agency's cooperation in providing services to gather intelligence during the G20 meeting held in Canada. The specific question was, would the Prime Minister come clean and tell Canadians why he provided access and facilitated this illegal action by CSEC? The Minister responded by pointing out that CSEC is monitored by a commissioner for CSEC and that CSEC, according to the Minister, has and, quote, continues to act lawfully, end of quote. However, Mr. Speaker, that statement by the Minister is not quite accurate. Let me repeat that. That statement by the Minister is not quite accurate. In the Commissioner's most recent annual report, the Commissioner at page 20 states that in a small number of instances, there was the possibility that CSEC had directed its activities at Canadians, quote, contrary to law, end of quote. These matters were not resolved to the Commissioner's satisfaction at the time of his 2012-2013 annual report. What this Minister and this government must begin to understand is that the information made public by Edward Snowden regarding the NSA in the United States has implicated Canada's intelligence gathering agencies. And these revelations are very, very serious, Mr. Speaker. It's just so happens, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday I attended an important symposium in Toronto, organized by the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario. It was appropriately named Big Surveillance Demands Big Privacy. Ms. Kavakian, who's the Information Commissioner, she stated this in the foreword to that meeting, and I quote, "The focus of this year's symposium was born from the steady stream of revelations by Edward Snowden, who came forward to expose just how invasive and pervasive government surveillance has become in our lives. Further, in what could be considered a direct blow to Canadians, it was revealed that our very own Communications Security Establishment Canada, or CSEC, was working alongside the NSA, hand in hand, in what was beginning to look like a worldwide assault on privacy with no government accountability." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, those are pretty strong words. And I listened to many speakers at the convention, and they all called for action. Mr. Ron DeBert spoke of his desire that he hoped these revelations would serve as a wake-up call to Canadians. Andrew Clement raised the concern that so much Canadian data passes through the United States and can fall under their surveillance systems. My hope, Mr. Speaker, is that this secretive government will realize the need for parliamentary oversight in a proactive way. I proposed that parliamentary oversight, Mr. Speaker, in Bill C-551, and the government hasn't seen forward to come forward with its own bill in that regard. It's needed, Mr. Speaker. An all-party committee, of which the current minister, two ministers that are currently in the government sat on, unanimously called for that committee, as well as you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, who's sitting in the chair. We need to get there. That committee is needed. I ask the government to consider it.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Defence.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Honourable Member for the opportunity to once again assure this House and Canadians that the foreign intelligence activities of the Communications Securities Establishment Canada are lawful and serve to protect Canadians from foreign threats. Now, he, as a former Solicitor General, the Honourable Member, will understand that we do not comment on Canada's foreign intelligence activities or those of our allies. To do so would be contrary to our laws on the security of information and could unintentionally provide an advantage to foreign terrorists or other threat actors. Now, I can assure this House, Mr. Speaker, that CSEC respects and is bound by Canadian law. By law, CSEC cannot direct its foreign intelligence activities at Canadians anywhere in the world or at any individual here in Canada. Now, CSEC may assist federal law enforcement security agencies under their legal authorities, such as an applicable court warrant. In addition, CSEC is prohibited from requesting its allies to act in a way that circumvents Canadian laws. Again, I repeat that. It is prohibited from requesting its allies to act in a way that circumvents Canadian laws. Now, as the independent review body for CSEC, the Communication Security Establishment Commissioner, who is a highly qualified, retired supernumerary judge, reviews all of the Communication Security Establishment Canada's activities. Now, in order to review the agency's activities, the Commissioner is supported by an expert staff and has full access to CSEC staff, records, and systems. Now, despite what the member has said, the Commissioner, Mr. Speaker, has never found CSEC to have acted unlawfully. In fact, he has specifically noted CSEC's culture of lawful compliance and has a genuine concern for protecting the privacy of Canadians. Now, let me also take this opportunity to note that CSEC's foreign intelligence activities are critical to the ongoing protection of Canada. CSEC plays an essential role in protecting Canada and Canadians from numerous threats such as terrorism, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, human trafficking, foreign espionage, cyber threats, attacks on our embassies, and other serious criminal activity. The work of this agency has revealed plots to attack Canadian and allied personnel overseas before these plans could be executed. Mr. Speaker, CSEC has also uncovered foreign-led efforts to radicalize and train individuals to carry out attacks in Canada. In addition, CSEC's operations have been critical to supporting Canadian military operations, such as our mission in Afghanistan, where they assisted in the protection of our armed forces from insurgents. On a daily basis, the Communication Security Establishment Canada works to ensure Canada's integrated prosperity, security, and stability. As the independent CSE Commissioner has previously stated, the protection of the privacy of Canadians in the eyes of CSEC and its employees a genuine concern, end quote. Protecting the privacy of Canadians will continue to be the agency's most important operational consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Malpeque.
Mr. Speaker, no one is arguing against the security agencies. What we're arguing for is proper review, proactive review, by members of this place and the other House to ensure in a proactive way, as all the other Five Eyes countries do, and review what this committee is, what the security intelligence agencies do before it in fact happens. Even the member, the parliamentary secretary's former colleague, who was chair of CSIS, Mr. Chuck Strahl, when he was before committee, he raised some concerns about CSEC, and he said that changes have to be made. Mr. Speaker, that's what we need to be looking at. The government has to get its head out of the sand and ensure that proper proactive action is taken with CSEC and the other intelligence agencies. That's accepting our responsibility.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I should remind the honourable member that in actuality, Parliament has the power through their committees to call agencies before the committee that it's responsible for. So the Standing Committee on National Defence has the authority and the power to call the Commissioner of the Communication Security Establishment, as well as the Communication Security Establishment Canada, before committee. It also has the opportunity, if it so desired, to go and meet with them on premises, and they have a new building that they could easily tour around in. So those opportunities already exist. Parliamentary oversight is already in place, and we don't need to be reinventing the wheel. Mr. Speaker, let me state just once again that while we do not commit on the foreign intelligence activities of Canada or our allies, I can assure the House that the foreign intelligence activities of CSEC are conducted in lawful compliance with Canadian law. Full compliance. The ongoing work of the independent CSEC Commissioner and his staff will continue to provide robust review of CSEC activities, and that provides valuable foreign intelligence, contributes significantly to our security and to our allies. Thank you.